Here we are again. Now, it's hard to believe that we're in the middle of August already. Now, I hope your endeavors have been productive and your business is growing. And in case that you ever feel discouraged or find running a handmade business to seem a bit of a struggle, I have some great news that I think you're going to find encouraging, applicable, and dare I say, energizing as we continue this journey of growing your handmade business. Also, if you've been following our content, or maybe you're a member of our company's private Facebook group, Clays for Creators, you know that in addition to the work that I do here with Yanira and in MyClaynation, I'm also an adjunct professor and I teach marketing at Baldwin-Wallace University. Now, this is that time of year, that special time of year, just before the fall semester begins, that I really start to research and structure the courses I'm going to teach. Now, yes, I know what you're thinking. Yes, the basic fundamentals of marketing, those remain unchanged. But I always try to make a point of integrating, of including those newest ideas that occurred since last semester, right? Especially case studies, anything that's, let's say, a relevant article, anything that highlights what's going on in these businesses, marketing trends, all that good stuff. I want to share that with my students. That's when I'm lecturing, creating assignments. So while I was doing all that, that picture, that's my house last week, right? I'm creating the syllabus and the content. Yanira brings up the fact that I haven't really done that in our own industry, in our own community here. I mean, we talked about how to build a website. We talked about the important questions that you should be asking as a handmade business owner, how to answer those questions even, and of course, general marketing ideas and tips that, we were sharing with you there. But we haven't talked about this one thing. We haven't talked about what our industry looks like. I would say explicitly looks like, and the opportunities that are available for you as we really continue our forward progress of training and discussions of entrepreneurship. So whether you're a bow designer, whether you're a badge creator, or you produce, let's say, any type of handcraft or handmade product, you might want to take notes. All right, you might want to jot these few ideas down. This won't be a long statement, but it will be an important one because we spent all last week going through, take a look at that, researching all types of industry specifics on what's relevant, what's occurring in our market and in yours. So let's begin with this article. This was published by Quartz Media, and this is titled Crafter's Paradise. The U.S. creativity market is a $44 billion industry. It's actually $43.9 billion. That's based on research from the Association of Creative Industries. Now, one of the primary reasons that should excite you, and it does me as well, that's because this number represents a 45% increase over the last 10 years. I mean, that's like this, okay? I can tell you that's a massive number. That's a huge percentage. So talk about a great time to be in the handcraft industry. We're here, I think too often we hear things like the market is saturated or it's hard to make enough money full time. All this blah, blah, negative stuff, you hear it sometimes. And then doubt, it starts to seep in, right? Anxious thinking starts to sneak in on us and almost without warning. And it's for a good reason though. It's because we're busy, right? The last thing we're doing is out there researching the market, right? I mean, you're running your home, you're taking your kids to school, you're juggling and doing all these things. You're dropping the older kids off for maybe tryouts and track meets, depends what sports that they're in. Maybe you're even going to school yourself. And on top of everything else, you're in the middle of launching a brand, getting your handmade business up and running. And what happens? We hear something negative, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe a colleague. They don't understand what you're trying to achieve. Okay, let me share that with you right now if you didn't already know. And they don't know this industry. It's unlikely. And inadvertently what occurs is they end up dumping cold water all over your plans. They don't mean to. They think they're helping, but they're actually not. And that kind of data isn't actually supported by the real data that we've got over here. Okay? Now, yes, launching a business has some risk to it, and the process can be full of missteps, full of learning, full of growth. Hey, welcome to Entrepreneurship 101. In fact, I forget the name of the CEO, but as she made this analogy, somebody notable, and if I think of it, you would know her as well. But she was saying that launching your own brand, it's like jumping off a steep cliff and then trying to assemble an airplane on the way down. Now, as an entrepreneur, maybe like me, you're kind of nodding your head and you're agreeing with that description because it's so accurate, right? Well, it's the same for all of us, right? We all feel that. We can all relate to that. And what's so encouraging is this report. This is from the AFCI. This is the Association of Creative Industries. And it's the truth that we uncovered regarding this particular segment of our market. Now, many of you may already know this. You might know this as well, right? But the handcraft industry, it just fails to garner the type of attention that an industry of the same size but a different industry would garner. All right, listen to this. Faber-Castell, now this is USA CEO Jamie Gallagher, says creativation is part of a larger resurgence of appreciation for creative thinking in education and business. He goes on to say, it's a really good time to be in the creative business. That's good news, I'll take it. What that means is the American creative industry, which you and I are a big part of, right? This isn't like sort of a renaissance right now. And it's not just here, but it's around the globe. I mean, I can tell you firsthand that we have multiple clients that have started ordering our clays from outside the US. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many orders that we get just from Australia alone. Australia, way over there. Now, think about it. With the, I would say, ease of entry into the creative market for new entrepreneurs, can you think of a better time to be in this industry, to have a handmade business and to be doing what we're doing right now? Now, here's where one of the first and I would say more significant opportunities is hiding, almost in plain sight. By the way, let me get this other article. This article was published by Forbes. Millennials are ready for crafting. Okay. Now, in it, the author interviews Jennifer Moore. Now, Moore is a sewing blogger. She's also someone who quit her job as a CNN producer to turn her handmade passion and hobby into a career. Here's what she had to say about the industry as she observed it. All right. The industry is doing a terrible job of attracting new customers. They're still operating like it's the 1970s or 80s. And then the article goes on to detail how Jennifer hardly ever goes into a traditional brick and mortar store. Right. Instead, she buys all her fabrics and supplies online. So you're asking, okay, what does that mean to me? Well, what that means is there's a considerable gap between the experience, right, that customers want and the experience that's being offered, the experience that they're receiving. So think about this. If you can provide customers wanting handmade products with the experience they're desiring but are unable to, let's say, easily and consistently obtain, you become the go-to brand. You kind of fill that gap. I think it's worth noting also, customers wanting handmade items, they're the youngest they've ever been. Okay, they're searching for products that express their own drive for creativity. Like many of us, right? They crave originality, they demand quality, and if you're the one who's positioned to provide that in an authentic and genuine way, and of course it has to be relevant to your customers, right? You're gonna sell more. And then as a natural byproduct, your handmade business, it's just going to start to take right off. So how do we unpack all that data? How do we implement that in a supportive way that allows you to take your hobby, right, your passion for handmade and grow that into an income that you can live on? Well, I've got some good news for you. We've got some surprising statistics. This is reported by a company called Wonderlabelcom. Okay, they do a great job of breaking down those details that we just mentioned, even to the point of, I would say, articulating and clearly defining who your customer is and who your competitors are. Let's look at some of these stats. All right, it says meet the makers. 87% are women. You're in good company. Average age is 39. In comparison to the average business owner in the U.S. is 50. 90% own their handmade businesses outright. They funded them themselves. They didn't have to take out any loans. 50% come from the suburbs. Well, that means the other 50% are coming from everywhere else too. So it's really inclusive. and half of them started their business specifically to earn more money. Now, that's incredible. Now, perhaps you already were familiar with some of those statistics, but I'm guessing at least a few of them were a welcome surprise. They were for me, all right? So, how are you feeling about running a handmade business now? Hopefully a whole lot better, because those are wonderful statistics. You see, sometimes it's easy to feel like things aren't moving as rapidly as you want them to. Or you hear something negative by people outside the industry who they're just not privy to the facts and are frequently, let's face it, they're only regurgitating what they heard somebody else say. But now you can take confidence in knowing this is the industry, right? This is the industry to be a part of. The customer demand is there. It's growing like it hasn't before. And I would say not just exponentially, but almost exploding, right? Now, there's a lot of really good information that's out there, and we went over a lot of that. There's positive reports, and these reports can easily spark ideas. And you can take those, you can test them, you can apply them in your business. That's one of the main reasons that Yanira and I produce this series for you. We already know that you're strapped for time. We know that, right? If we can provide some support for you and your business by kind of filtering through all the noise and bringing you these weekly bite-sized content that's valuable to you, valuable to your brand, hey, we're all for that. That's the whole point of this. So take a look at this other article. Yanira found this. This is from The Guardian, and it's titled Homemade Success, How to Be Original in the Arts and Crafts. All right? And it talks about the uptick in our industry, which again, that has exciting implications for your business. Here's another one. This one is published by the Chicago Tribune, right? Titled Growing Arts and Crafts Market Isn't Just for Kids. Here's another one. Look at that. Published in Forbes. Andrea Chang, No More of the Same. Why Mass Market Production is Actually a Boon for Handmade. All right. All right. You see what's out there right now? This really documents the swing of the pendulum that we're witnessing as consumers are getting fed up, right? With plastics and overproduced, cheap style, run-of-the-mill products. Today's customers, that includes us, right? We don't want that. Instead, they want exquisitely designed hair bows that a skilled artisan, perhaps you crafted those. Or they're seeking out original customized badge holders, right? That nurses, doctors, so many in the medical community are now wearing across the country, right? The demand has really become, gosh, I would say a fashionable status accessory that so many are embracing and they're willing to pay for it, right? They'll pay for quality. Now, your ideal customer wants something creatively inspired. Your business, you're positioned perfectly to attract that customer and grow your brand. Now, if you still need more encouragement, take a look at this one last article. What makes an online marketplace disruptive? Now, this was printed in the May issue of the Harvard Business Review, and what I'll do is I'll link to it below. So if you want to, you can check that out. But I wanted to share this with you because remember, you're not just a creator anymore. Okay, if you're selling your handmade items and you're trying to build your brand, that makes you a CEO. And if you go to any reputable business school, right, not just in the US, but anywhere in the world, they'll tell you the number one job of a CEO is to create strategies that will grow your brand, strategies to grow your business. Now, I share that with you only because if you're thinking only, primarily as an artisan, as a creator, and you're not developing the mindset to think about your business and how to grow it, chances are you're always going to struggle, right? You're going to have a hard time achieving the type of independence that you want. You want to continue your skill as an artist, as a designer, as an artisan, right? That way you can create amazing handmade products. But you also want to develop your ability to think like a CEO and an entrepreneur. And you need to have a plan on how you're going to do that. Now, that's been our motivation, really the push behind producing these weekly videos and podcasts, and it's to provide you with a sort of a plan. Think of it as kind of like a framework, right? That you can adapt your own brand and business to. It's the reason why I typically go through and I give you lists, right? I list the practical action steps that you can take away and you can implement easily most of the time. So I hope you gained some real value from this time that we spent together today. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about some simple things, okay, that you can do to protect your business as you grow your brand and as you become more recognized and more, I would say, well-known. Now, these are topics that are requested from within our community, such as how to create a watermark and really protect your product picks and the different types of business structures that you might continue or you might consider, right, when you're continuing to make your business official. And in the rare case that you didn't already know this, we publish additional content we consider beneficial, including access to special online flash sales and the updated lists of the dates and the times as we release them for our live clay drops. We do that through our weekly newsletter. So if you're not already signed up and you want to be included, it's a resource. We make it available free of charge. There'll be a link down below here, and you can click on that to sign up. If you're listening via podcast, there'll be a link down in the show notes. And if you want to be included each time we air a new video or podcast episode, also feel free to subscribe there as well. We certainly appreciate it and want to continue to bring you all this good information. So from our family to yours, from our business to yours, we wish you a fantastic week. Until next time.